Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my obeisances. What are the texts today? So we are reading from Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10th, chapter 23rd, texts 42nd, 43rd, 44th.
Pashyata narinam api Krishne jagat guru duranta bhavam yovidyan vityu pashan grihaphitan. Словный перевод. Ахо пашьята, взгляните же.
Just see of these women, even for Lord Kṛṣṇa, the spiritual master of the entire universe, unlimited, the devotion which has broken of death the bounds known as family life. Translation. Just see the unlimited love these women have developed for Lord Kṛṣṇa, the spiritual master of entire universe. This love has broken for them the very bound of death, their attachment for family life. Commentary. Specifically, the husband's fathers-in-law, and so on, were the ladies' gurus or teachers. Yet, the women had become perfect in Krishna consciousness, whereas the man had fallen into the darkness of ignorance. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, upon returning home, the ladies showed transcendental ecstatic symptoms such as trembling of the body, shedding of tears, standing of the bodily hairs on end, discoloration of the complexion, crying out, "Oh, pleasure of my life, O Krishna," with faltering words and so forth. So Chakravarti Thakur goes on to state that while one may object that it is no fitting for a woman to love anyone other than her husband, here the husbands themselves point out that they are gurus only in limitation of the Supreme Lord, who is Jagat Guru, the universal teacher and spiritual master. The husbands noted that the women, having perfected their transcendental attachment for Krishna, did not have even a trace of attachment left for home, husbands, children, and so forth. Therefore, from that day on, the husbands accepted those ladies as their worshipable spiritual masters and no longer thought of them as their wives or property. So it gives us a little bit of explanation of the situation. It's not enough to be a spiritual master or teacher. You can do it in a mode of goodness, under the influence of mode of goodness, but that would be not enough unless we meet someone who gives us Krishna. So those wives, they were the wives of great brahmanas. And those brahmanas, they were spiritual leaders, and their wives were helping them, but that was not enough. It was not enough to only do something based on rules and regulations. Of course, our life is prescribed, is more or less regulated by those rules and regulations. But if we forget the main thing, Krishna, and we forget him in a different ways, we can use Krishna differently. We can apply to him or address him through suffering or through inquiring or through greed. Of course, we can also pile up the knowledge, be learned, but for the pure devotee, this is all material. So these brahmanas, when they attained the love for God, mirroring it from the hearts of their wives, they said, "Indeed, we were your enemies, Krishna. We thought we were teachers, we were brahmanas, and we enlightened all the people. But in fact, we were opposing the absolute truth." So this was the characteristic of the thing that they've been just a second ago proud of. Those women, they were these ordinary brahmanas. Actually, all the brahmanas, they're higher, they're standing higher than the ordinary people. And Krishna is protecting them, helping them in every way. Krishna is taking care of their spiritual advancement. Nobody else can control them. In our case, if we moving forward on the spiritual path, from the beginning, up the ladder of this ISKCON hierarchy, we can become guru or GBC or regional supervisor or president of the temple or the senior devotee, and no one seems to be able to teach us or tell us something. So in the beginning, we hear it from different sources, right? And we understand we are fallen, and we have so many sources of instructions to take the instructions. But the higher we go up, the less we get these instructors. And it's a dangerous situation. Sometimes a devotee who's been practicing for a long time, he's forgetting his spiritual master. He thinks it's normal. I've heard it many times, so I know of this. There are such moments that might happen. It's a condition in existence. Only the ecstasy that been revealed by these women, that was mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We don't have any huge details here, but they were all merged into this state. So Brahmanas, they could not tolerate them. Brahmanas, they could not take them as treat them as their wives anymore. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he said they manifested all the symptoms, exterior symptoms, and Brahmanas, they could feel and understand that the things that were going on, they understood. They were calling for Krishna. They were merged into this and pay no attention to whatsoever else. And Brahmanas, they remembered Krishna, just like they've been reborn again. They've been reading from holy texts, they've been chanting the holy names and mantras, but they were not remembering Krishna with love, not like those ladies did. They wanted to be important in this material world, to become gods. So that's why they called themselves as enemies of Krishna. They were punishing, sentencing themselves. So if it happens to us that we are sentenced ourselves, it means these are the signs of Krishna consciousness. It means we have the instructions from inside, coming from inside, just like it should be. Not only the external rites and regulations I'm following, showing off, I'm following all this. Then we can hide our real face. This duality is very fine in material world. It's very hard to overcome. It can put into illusion anyone. So Brahmanas, they really understood. They were saying, who are we, really? Even the greatest mystics and yogis in the universe, they can be put in illusion very easily. And they accepted the fact that we are just an ordinary people. And besides, in the material world, there are no perfect souls. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying that all the living entities in this material world have the tendency to make mistakes. Everybody in the material world. And that world, spiritual world, everybody is pure. Even Brahma, even Lord Shiva has that tendency to be influenced by illusion. Anyone is affected by it, but it is only about spiritual world when we want to get the perfection. So it was not said because in order to upset us, but in order to be able so we could see what the real facts are. So for me, if I would glance back on myself, what I was proud of, back then I would be ashamed. Now it's like I know more. But I know in 20 years from now, I will be laughing at it. So it's better not to think about ourselves anything but that I'm a servant of Krishna and spiritual master. I'm nobody here. I cannot provide, I cannot protect, I cannot sustain. All I have is this. I can provide this mercy of Krishna, be the mediator. So those wives of the Brahmanas, they were devotees. It was unusual because it goes against the etiquette. Usually a man is more spiritual advanced, but in this way, Brahmanas saved their husbands. So we should understand that neither women nor men are important in the Krishna consciousness. Spiritual master, if you know this science of Krishna consciousness, you are important. In our movement, anyone can take this education. Anyone can become Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, Vartmana Pradakshika Guru. Prabhupada wanted all his disciples, every single one would preach Krishna consciousness and become spiritual masters. And we're also talking about all the generations, coming generations. In order to become spiritual master, all you need to do is to say these words that these brahmanas say right now. This is how they become real spiritual masters, Krishna conscious. If a brahmana is not a devotee, then he cannot be a spiritual master. That way, Chandala is more valuable than this brahmana. The dog eater, the lowborn, is higher than the brahmana, who is not a devotee, loaded with knowledge. He can be a famous one, great one, he can be wiser. But if he's not a devotee, then a Chandala is much valuable than him. This way he's losing his situation, his value. Just like Ashwatthama, he was growing up in a Brahmanic family, but he was not a devotee of Krishna. So he was influenced by Duryodhana, and he lost all his Brahmanic opulences. He was punished. Even though he was not punished, he did not suffer with his body. But these people we call him Brahman Bandhu, Dvija Bandhu. Dronacharya was also making some mistakes. He was raising Ashwadam. But we're saying that if a Brahmana is not a devotee, Drona, of course, he was more a devotee than the Ashwadam. Ashwadam lost everything. He lost his best chances of his birth. So this is a deep happiness, spiritual happiness, that established in the hearts of wives of Brahmanas. They were amazed so much that they started to curse their previous lives. Up to 3 previous lives, they cursed. We're going to read next texts. These women have never undergone the purificatory rites of the twice-born classes, nor have they lived as brahmacārīs in the āśrama of a spiritual master, nor have they executed austerities, speculated on the nature of the self, followed the formalities of cleanliness, or engaged in pious rituals. Nevertheless, they have firm devotion for Lord Kṛṣṇa, whose glories are changed by the exalted hymns of the Vedas, and who is the supreme master of all masters of mystic power. We, on the other hand, have no such devotion for the Lord, although we have executed all these processes. So, what can we get from this text? We can follow all the rules and regulations, but it doesn't mean we're gonna attain the highest goal. You can only get the perfection if you get the association with either Krishna, like here, or you hear about Krishna from a devotee. All our rules and regulations is given there just in order to make it possible for us to listen, to hear the Shrimad Bhagavatam. Why do we need to hear the holy name? So we could listen from the Shrimad Bhagavatam. This is the perfection. Hare Krishna Mahamantra is unlimited. Shrimad Bhagavatam is unlimited. It has all the leelas of the Lord, His name and pastimes and His form. So all our spiritual practice, the 16 rounds and everything, is given there just in order to make us listen to Shrimad Bhagavatam. And that's why we build temples. That's why Prabhupada built temples, so people could get there and listen to Shrimad Bhagavatam. Those wives of Brahmanas, they were listening about Krishna. They were engaged in their ordinary duties next to their husbands. They were situated in some mode of goodness, of course, but they were proudless because they were listening about Krishna. None of your duties would deprive you from being proud. but Krishna Kadha. Krishna is the best of all the living beings. Krishna is the highest of all the living beings. You need to dedicate whatever you have to Him. You need to listen to about Him. He can make us, this listening process can make us, our false ego, finer. So that way we'll be able to follow. So our ultimate goal is to listen about Krishna. When we get the knowledge, when this knowledge should be about Krishna. Otherwise, we would think, I'm Krishna myself. Anything can come to our mind. These devotees who practice, they understand what mind is, what nature of the mind, that it's a dangerous force. It can change all your life upside down and flip it up. This is like a hurricane. So none of the rules and regulations can establish it. You cannot stop the mind with this. And false pride stops the mind. The moment we start to think about ourselves, our mind stops and says, yes, now you understand, now you get it. This is who you are. It's a nature of all the living beings to be proud of themselves. And Krishna is very close to his devotees. He's watching. There's a story about Garuda, who was proud that he was carrying Lord Vishnu himself. It's like he's the one with the Vishnu. So he was there, sitting there and doing his ordinary things, eating his breakfast of elephants and turtles. And he's a liberated soul, so don't copy that. So whatever he was eating, he was sitting there eating. And the great sages been passing by. Imagine all this huge universe and there are some sages traveling through it in austerities, trying to perceive all this huge world. And then now they meet with the Garuda and they see, this is we are so lucky. Our eyes attain perfection because we see him, and they started to praise him and glorify him, and they're saying, you're a great king of all birds. All his Leela has been described. And Garud, when he heard this, he couldn't believe it. He was just taking his breakfast and now he is being glorified. So he became very excited. And when those sages stopped, he said, yes, you're absolutely right. This is who I am. You've been absolutely correct. It was not up to the end because my power is unlimited. And of course, it is true. He's very powerful. He has no limits of his power because he is the servant of Vishnu. He can expand his power according to his wish. So he said, yes, you cannot describe really my power. And the sages started to exchange glances between each other and saying, there's something going on here, something's wrong, because Garuda is supposed to be humble, but he's not acting that way. And seeing that those sages, they've been bewildered, Garuda said, pay attention to Lord Vishnu. He's holding all the three worlds, right? But I am holding the Lord Vishnu. And he's not going anywhere without me. Every time he wants to go someplace, he's calling for me. Garuda! And those sages, they were like exchanging glances, sitting in silence. And then they've heard, "Hey, Garuda!" And those sages, they were offering their obeisances to the Lord Vishnu himself. He appeared there, and Garuda said, "Yes, you see, this is true, that everything I was talking about." So the Lord is coming with his Jayanti garland and with his beautiful smile, and he's putting his arm on the shoulder of Garuda and saying, "Let's go, Garuda." And Garuda jumped off the ground but couldn't fly over the ground even for a centimeter. And Vishnu was saying like, "Hey Garuda, let's go. I'm in a hurry." But Garuda, he couldn't. This great universe bird couldn't fly even a centimeter. He was trying and trying and trying, and Lord Vishnu was resting his arm on his shoulder, and Garuda went through all the edges of the universe into the lowest world, into the Patalas, and he lost all his feathers on the way. He fell down. In this way, he could not go up and face those sages and Lord Vishnu. So he decided, "I'm going to sit here waiting for the mercy and having some rest. That's all I can do." He ordered some japa beads in ISKCON, and he heard about these principles, and he took his simple service there, was washing the floors in the temple and was making garlands. He was engaging himself in the simple service, and the Lord liked it very much. He came and said, "Hey Garuda, you need to remember myself. You need to remember me, because I'm carrying myself and I'm carrying you as well, and at the same time I'm holding all the three worlds." And Garuda Prabhu, he fell and offering the obeisances to the Lord, and he said, "Yes, yes, and now I understand everything. It's your mercy to all the world and to me also." He was crying and he was saying these beautiful things, and his feather grown back, it was even better, ecstatic. Such feather growing because of the prasadam. You know, there's some people have the body that was grown thanks to prasadam. Our prasadam body is so much lighter and better. We can differentiate it from the karmic body. It's filled with the spiritual energy. So these transformations the soul can go through. If a Garuda can be proud, then anyone can. The gopis were proud, brahmanas were proud, but Krishna is very merciful to his devotees, and he's doing some tricks to break it, to break that pride. So if we decide with determination, practice this, we're gonna be cleaned from this false pride, because Krishna is waiting for us. The only thing, we need to be very appreciative to accept this mercy. This way, just like Garud, he accepted it and he became, he accepted that mercy and he was very appreciating it. Okay, we're gonna read from the purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the husbands were not aware that their wives had occasionally associated with residents of Vrindavana, such as the flower ladies, and had heard about the beauty and qualities of Krishna. The Brahmanas did not pay attention to what their wives were doing, like talking, the chatting. They didn't appreciate it. They thought Krishna Katha is just the same with Prajapa. Just some sentimental talks. They listening, they hearing from someone, they falling in love. Women, they always say things like this. We are Brahmanas, we are reading from the holy scripts. We don't care about those things, what the topics they've been discussing. Of course, they were underappreciating their wives. And those Brahmanas' wives, they were listening about Krishna from the flower ladies of Raj. Everybody were talking about Krishna. The Brahmanas were astonished at their wives' love and devotion of Lord Krishna, not realizing that this devotion had developed as a result of hearing of chanting about the Lord in the association of his pure devotees. So it's just like among Kshatriyas, there are some heroes, very powerful heroes, and what they can do, other heroes can't. Just like Hanuman. When he found Sita, he was angered with Ravana and whole Lanka. When he saw her, he could not imagine seeing Sita like this. The first thing he thought, he was astonished, how come Lord Ramachandra is still alive in a separation with this beautiful woman, such a pure woman. Hanuman could not see such purity before. So he was very angry with Ravana and he started to crush the forest, Ashoka forest. Ravana liked it very much to take walks in there. So he was calling for a fight. And Ravana was sending his warriors, and Hanuman was killing one by one, all of them. They thought in the beginning he was just like a hooligan, but later on they understood it's someone who is as a superior hero. So this way he was glorified. Dharmic perception, love perception, is usually when a woman is dedicated to her husband. But it is said that there are some levels that are higher than the dharmic love. The love for God is so much higher. This way you don't have any dharma anymore. No one can judge you. No relatives. And those who offend them, they go to hell. This love is higher than anything. So there's the wives and husbands, they should know this, that the attachment to their partners is not the level the Shrimad Bhagavatam is telling us about. We need to chant holy names because it's supreme. Sarva dharma parityaja, leave all the dharmas behind and just be dedicated to me. Surrender to me. So those women, they knew it, and Brahmanas, they started to glorify them. Even though they were jealous, they felt jealousy in them. What Krishna said, mirrored in the hearts of their wives. They said, if we're going to be rejected, we're going to be rejected because our husbands are materialistic, and if they know we've been dealing with you, they're going to reject us. But Krishna said, no, it's not going to happen. And when they returned, the Brahmanas saw the manifestation of the transcendental feelings in them, and they accepted them. So you need to live many lifetimes to feel that, to understand it. And Prabhupada is saying he could actually make a happy person. He was making devotees of anyone, of Kazakh people, of Russian people, in Africa, everywhere. It is impossible to do following by any other method. It's impossible to make brahmanas without Krishna. There is no such a material you can use for it. It's just like unburned clay. It can be broken very easily. For the devotee, there are many obstacles on their way, but they are solid. No matter where they would live, Kazakhstan, Africa, Russia, Chukotka, Buryatia, they're very strict, they dedicate their life. Not even brahmanas could do that. And this is a miracle. When we're talking about such an immediate transformation, only Lord Chaitanya could manifest it. It's unparalleled thing in the world. This is what Panchatattva does. These miracles is not even a magic for us. It's not astonishing for us. We are very conditioned. We think it's okay, this is how it should be. No. There should be, you know what there should be? There should be many lifetimes ahead of us, so we could understand what perfection is. We are not stable. We are far from the state in our consciousness. We are very easily distracted. What is the basement for our spiritual life with our spoiled characters and stuff? It totally depends on the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. This is the magic. This is the miracle. We're making mistakes in devotional service, numerous mistakes, and still we're moving forward. Lord Chaitanya does not accept those offenses. This is the only reason. Otherwise, it would be impossible. There would be some preliminary training that would take many lifetimes, living in the Varna āśrama system for many lifetimes, becoming Brahmana after that, learning all the Vedas, and then be liberated from all the doubts, and then get the meaning of the holy scriptures, and then become a devotee. It's a long story. But these Brahmanas, they've learned the holy scriptures, and the hardest thing was to crush their self-pride. And their wives did that through Krishna. Krishna sent their wives, their ecstatic wives, to them. So those brahmanas, they're saying that this family life, we should blame it to family life because we are attached to all those rites and regulations. And now we see the truth. So let's discuss it.
Дорогие преданные, напоминаю, у нас чередуются вопросы из
Dear devotees, this is a bit of announcement that we're gonna take the questions in turn, one from the internet, the chats, and one from this Zoom meeting. Nitai Mango Prabhu, please. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear Gurudev, please accept my obeisances. Is it possible to see this miracle of the spiritual transformation for the one who is being transformed? You want to see a miracle of yourself, of transformation of yourself. You need to see the magic of Krishna, the miracle of Krishna. That's what we need. You need to forget about yourself, your own miracles. You need to see Krishna. This is the magic. This is the miracle. It's just when you are saying that we hear about these miracles, what Lord Chaitanya does to us, and we do not we are not amazed by it. So how do we appreciate it? We are not amazed by it because our knowledge is not revealed, is not open, not developed. When we are learned enough, then we will be able to see Krishna. And meanwhile, if we are doing something, we are becoming proud of it. We're not surprised, we're proud. We might be surprised because how it happened, right? But then we're walking with pride because we cannot understand this magic, this miracle.
Есть вопрос, Амал Галинда Прабhu. Да-да-да. Так, первый вопрос из чата задают вопрос. Какое место в нашей практике занимает совместное воспевание? Спасибо, Хари Кришна, мои поклоны.
Congregational chanting, how important it is in our practice. It's the first, the main thing. Chanting is the main thing, our priority. This is my short answer. I don't understand the background of the question, so that's why the answer is short. But in the Yuga Dharma is congregational chanting. Sankirtana means preaching, Shrimad Bhagavatam study, and we do everything together, discussing it, just like chanting the holy name, we do it together. We take the prasadam together. We distribute books, we do it together. And the embodiment of this Sankirtana is the congregational chanting. If we chant together, then we can cooperate. If they're not chanting together, they will not be able to cooperate. It will be difficult.
Харе Кришна, Гуру Махарадж, преданные, примите мои поклоны. У меня такой вопрос. После того, как я рассказывала о создании Кришны новым людям,
when I preach Krishna consciousness to new people, I fear of them getting some problems, that they will become criticized, that I will be cursed by their relatives. How do I overcome this fear to continue preaching? Yes, everybody is going to have their curse, their portion. All the devotees been cursed. Don't worry about it. The materialistic people, they cursing us all the time. According to this curse, we don't have any shelter in this material world. You've noticed this. That's why you're worried about others. But actually, this is a blessing for our spiritual life. We don't need these material shelters. There's curse is helping us. So yes, you're right. Everybody is going to be cursed.
Спасибо, Гуру Махарадж. Еще один вопрос из онлайна. Спрашивают, скажите, пожалуйста, откуда берется желание, чтобы тебя любили?
Where do we get this desire to be loved? The Lord has the desire to be loved, right? It's our nature, our eternal nature. If this nature is eternal, then we cannot ask where it comes from. This is my eternal nature, to love and be loved, to live in life, in love, to be situated in love. This is the nature of Jiva. No matter where you go, it stays with you. This is what Radhanath Maharaj very often says. We need only two things, to love and to be loved. And this is how he treats the devotees, inspiring them on the mutual feelings. He is loved by the devotees, and he also loves the devotees. I remember my daughter was 16, and we've been visiting Mayapur, and it was after the prasadam time. We were going to take the prasadam, and the Mayapur was blooming. It was springtime, just like heaven on earth. And we met Radhanath Swami on our way. We saw him before, but we met him personally. And he saw our daughter, and he ran to the flower bed, getting some flowers. And he offered it to my daughter with deep emotion. We've never seen a sannyasi to act like that. It was a mystery for us. It was very pure, spiritual, and immediately our hearts melted. He never did it ever since, but that's what he did back then. And we felt there's some kind of love, different one. And it could be also expressed among devotees. We're afraid of it because usually it's connected with our lust. But that story was about something different. And then there was another time, and we were taking the prasadam together with some other devotee. We've been talking. There was a Brazilian devotee. And Radhanath Maharaj was passing by, and he saw us, and he stopped by, and then he just crashed into this seat, saying, "I'm so happy to be able to talk to you. Actually, we were never able to have a chance to talk with him before. It's a rare chance, an exclusive moment. You can't really get that very easily. And then there he's sitting in front of me, laughing, having this talk. And I thought maybe he's just mistaken me with someone because we were never talking to each other before. And I asked him, why is it so? You're sannyasi, I'm grihastha. And he started to laugh. He took my hand, touched it a bit, and then he walked away. And then once I was in Bombay, in jungles, in his farm. It was a beautiful place. GBC had the meeting there. Everything was organized, very nice. We were treating very good. The Bhagavatam classes were so good. And I felt so much love grown in myself towards Radhanath Swami. And as I was leaving, I came up to him and I said, I wanted to say some words of appreciation to you. And I was telling it to him in Russian. I forgot that I needed to do it in English. And the moment he saw me, he understood it without the translation. And he ran forward. He grabbed my hands and was glancing into my eyes, reciprocating. And the moment he sees a glimpse of emotion, of love, he's reciprocating. Usually we have some lust and some rules and regulations, and we remember all that, but sometimes this is not that we see every day, that happens every day. It would be enough to feel it once in your lifetime, twice maybe. We don't say that you need to always hug each other, but it should be revealed once or twice in your life. And if you feel this deepness of spiritual emotions, you need to express it with the good manners, of course, through the shape of etiquette. But this is priceless, especially for the senior devotees. This is the only food. The senior devotees, they don't live the rules and regulations. If they have only rules and regulations, they're going to be engaged in watching the TV. So this is our lifeline to feel the spiritual emotions. We need to reveal it. I forgot the question that I was answering. Where do we take the question? Where do we take this desire to be loved? This is our nature, yes. The Garuda question, that he revealed his pride. Was it the influence of Yogamaya or Mahamaya? If such a great devotees can reveal the pride, was it the desire or will of Krishna to show this lesson to all of us? Or he has a tendency to fall into illusion? It's just like Arjuna thing. Arjuna was under the influence of Mahamaya, but he is an eternal servant, associate of Lord Krishna. But Krishna did it consciously. So the Bhagavad Gita could be revealed to the world. So he allowed Arjuna to get into this illusion. Of course, this is the influence of Yoga Maya, not just Mahamaya. Yoga Maya can say, Mahamaya, do it, and she becomes an instrument. You cannot directly say that Garud was influenced by the mode of ignorance. It seemed like it externally, but he's an eternal associate of Lord Vishnu. This is a lila.
Махарадж, вопрос онлайна. Зачитаем. Харе Кришна, Гуру Махарадж, вопрос про жен.
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj, the question about wives of Brahmanas.
Прошлом ходил на охоту.
Еще раз повторить. Видео выключи, пожалуйста.
Мужа к принятию
Прерывается интернет. Я так и не услышал вопрос.
Да, Хармаш, выключи, пожалуйста.
I couldn't hear you clearly.
Может быть, Абхирам Тхакур там хотел.
Try to turn off the video and ask questions again.
Харе Кришна, дорогие преданные, слышно?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, it was my question.
Все говорить можно?
Да, Ратнавати.
Харе Кришна, дорогие преданные, Харе Кришна, Chaitanya Chandra Charan prabhu, пожалуйста, примите мои поклоны. А у меня вот вопрос. Вы сказали, что когда жены вернулись,
You said the wives,
любовь,
when they
общение с Кришной,
returned
и эта любовь
because of their
совершенная,
association
не
with
сварва,
Krishna,
когда жена служит мужу. И вот тогда вопрос по Ситай Рам. А там почему, когда вот этот врач сказал, что
and
это генерал,
this service
там
was
не было
spiritual,
время
but
проявления вот этой возвышенной любви.
I wanted to ask about Sita Ram.
Не ее время было.
Поясни вопрос, пожалуйста.
The
Ну вот
question is
смотрите,
not
когда
clear.
Сита и Рам, то там как
When
раз вот эта
Sita and
любовь
Ram, talking
прославляется
about
любовь
them,
дхармы, любовь мужа к жене.
there's a love,
И другой любви нет.
dharmic
Когда
love
врач
is
сказал,
being
что это не Сита,
glorified.
то Господь Рама, он отправил Ситу в лес. А здесь вы
When
говорите, наоборот, жены
someone said
вернулись,
that
потому что, более возвышенная
to
любовь
his
к
wife
Кришне, и
that
поэтому эта любовь еще более
you are not
чистая.
Sita,
То есть тут как бы получается проявление такой любви,
showing up
устанавливается
here.
проявление такой любви, так?
And Rama, after hearing that, he sent his wife in the forest. Are you a mathematician? Please give me some clear question.
Но если уже даже математик не понял, то что же нам делать? Кто понял вопрос?
Who understands the question?
Да нет. Ну вот смотрите, Господь
Look,
Рамачандра пришел,
Lord Ramachandra
и Сита была, тоже она
and
была
Sita,
вне дома. И
she
потом
was away
когда
from
врач
the
сказал,
house.
что Ситу, я тебе не Господь Рама, что жена, где ты там была. И он ее поэтому отправил в лес. Ну что ж, вот.
Lord
Считается,
Rama,
что,
he sent
это нехорошо.
his wife,
А
his
здесь же тоже
Sita,
жены
in the
Браманов
forest
были вне
because
дома,
she was
другим.
away from the home.
Но здесь, наоборот, браманы очистили.
But here, when
Да, здесь наоборот.
Вот я и спрашиваю.
the wives of Brahmanas, they were out of the house, that they came back,
Да, да. А вы говорите сейчас, забудьте эту
and
дхарму,
their
просто
husbands
то есть я
didn't
говорю,
send
что там
them
было вместо
out.
вот той проявления любви, а в играх Кришны это не имеет значения.
So it was a
Но когда
different
это имеет
manifestation
значение,
of different kind of love.
В играх Кришны, да. В
In
играх
the
Кришны
Krishna
нравственность
Lilas,
мирская не имеет значения.
the morality, mundane
да, но
morality,
Господь
В играх
Рамачандра,
Рамачандры она играет
is
значение,
nothing.
потому что он
But in the
Нарьяна,
Lilas of
он
Ramachandra,
как раз воплощение
it is important because he is the embodiment of morality.
разные лилы.
These are different Lilas,
ну, то
different
есть это и то, и
mood.
Нарушает, видишь, Кришна нарушает
And
свободу
Krishna is violating
по ночам и
the
так далее.
morality rules, and he's dancing with gopis at night.
Теперь вопрос к нам.
He is
Как бы
absolutely
мы же
liberated
не должны
from that.
имитировать, правильно?
We should not copy it, right?
Ну, то есть, что Кришна нарушил. Ну, имеется в
That
виду, что
Krishna is
у нас
violating
есть
it.
отношения с мужем и
We
женой, мы
have the
должны
relationship
как
with,
бы, ну, следовать.
between husband and wife. We need to follow it, right?
Не всегда.
Not
Мы не
always.
ставим выше. Ну, имеется в виду, что здесь должен такой быть момент, понимаете? Я еще
Не,
не достигла.
давайте, подожди.
There should be such a thing. No, wait, hold on.
Ну, хорошо.
You are not
Это
correct.
зависит от того, какое у тебя
It
сознание.
depends on your Krishna consciousness.
Вот.
Это
Так,
зависит
типа-
от того, от сознания Кришны зависит именно, как поступать, да, в данном случае в семье.
The way you behave in the family depends on your Krishna consciousness. Sometimes you need to leave your
Ради
family
сознания Кришны.
because of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes you need to stay in the family.
Да, но это все равно
It can be
решается духовным
solved
учителем,
individually.
правильно?
Can it be solved with the spiritual master? Yes, it should be under the instruction of spiritual master. When we joined, we immediately left our families. We were not in the Krishna consciousness. We were not walking under the instructions. Well, I did not go away from my wife.
Я еще раньше присоединился. И
I-
тогда время
I
было
joined it
более суровое.
even earlier. It was even harder times, and I didn't leave the family. Someone established families,
Те семьи, которые не принимали,
but those
были конфликты,
who could
да,
not
люди
accept
находились,
it in the
да,
family,
были люди очень атеистичные, ты
those
вспомни
the
культуру
people
другую,
were there very atheistic.
да, более резкие, было другое. Поэтому это индивидуально все решается.
So it could be, it was individually solved.
Потому что есть такая
Yes, this
тенденция
is what I
в
wanted to
наше
hear.
время бросать,
Because there is a tendency nowadays
что
that
семья
to
на первом
leave.
месте. И там, и
Back
там
in
еще
nowadays, it was that the tendency that we leave the family, and now it is said that we need to stay in the family. But no. Family is not on the first place. Krishna consciousness is on the first place. We don't need to talk about it, really. We need to talk about Krishna. But if they say, I have no time to chant japa, don't worry about those things.
Думает пока так, как умеет. Тут не вмешивайся
Let
в
them think whatever they able to.
индивидуально.
This is individual thing.
Как могут
Don't make them chant japa
Не, мы не заставляем.
They
Мы
do
говорим,
it
что ценности должны сформироваться
the way they
правильно
can.
в самом начале. Что важно, что,
But
ну, что, ну, то есть, чтобы,
no, I'm not
сказать,
pushing anyone
ценности в самом
towards it.
начале,
It's
когда,
just
знаете,
the values.
вы
You need
сначала
to get the real
присоединились,
values in the
потом
beginning.
проповедь, и потом вам очень
If you
трудно
join when if you join motivated by the indirect preaching
как бы на первую
and you think that Ayurveda will save you,
соревновать ее, вообще не смешивайте.
we don't mix those
Не
things,
развил сознание
Mataji.
Кришны, не вмешиваемся в его жизнь пока он
If a person is getting into the Krishna consciousness, we are not messing with them unless they getting more education. But those who are going through Ayurveda, do we need to preach them? No, they need to go through Ayurveda. That's their main thing. We should not mess with it
задаст вопрос.
unless he's asking us.
Он еще не готов
He's not ready yet.
Ну, а когда они
читать
задают,
Прабхупады.
а когда
He's
они
not ready to read Srila Prabhupada's, but when they ask questions, they have difficulty.
Отвечает тем, кто
What is the problem? Why is it bothering you? Just answer their questions.
настаивают на том, чтобы аюрведа
They
была на
insist
первом месте.
Ayurveda to be their priority. Well, it's going to be their priority.
Им даже не надо говорить, что это, ну,
So I should not even mention.
это супер вообще, супер.
No, just support their opinion. Ayurveda is cool. Okay, I
то
get
есть
you.
не надо
Если
им
ты
говорить.
так скажешь, послушай, вот если ты так скажешь, вдохновишь их,
If
они
you
будут
tell
считать
them
тебя своим наставником.
this way
И тогда
and
постепенно
inspire them, you're gonna be an instructor for them, and they're gonna appreciate you more, and later they will be accepting whatever you say later.
Поняла, поняла.
But if
Нет,
you're
я не
against them, they will be against you
Всё, я поняла.
also.
Это как да,
Now
это
I
как христиане
understand.
подходят, говорят, только
It's
через
just like
Иисуса, например,
Christians, they
точно.
say, only through
Точно,
Jesus
только
Christ, and we
Иисус,
say
и идем
yes,
дальше.
only through Him, and
Всё,
we
я поняла,
move
спасибо.
along. Okay,
Я
thank you
поняла,
so much. I
спасибо.
understood it.
Только через Юрия. Поняла? Все. Слышишь?
Only through Ayurveda, you understand? It was her Mataji's birthday yesterday.
Правда?
Oh, really?
А что жена ничего не сказала скромная?
Why she's not saying anything?
Я не скромная, Читань Чандра Чаран. Ну просто я боюсь как Гаруда возгордиться. Ну я стараюсь, конечно. Ну,
I'm
я
afraid
немножко
of
боюсь.
being. I'm not humble
Наша
actually, but
проблема,
I'm afraid
наше дело тебя
to be
прославить.
proud. Well, it's not our thing. It doesn't bother us. We need to glorify you.
Прославить,
You have things to be
потому что ты
glorified
имеешь такую материнскую
because
бхаву
you
рядом,
have this bhava, motherhood
способна
bhava,
помогать многим душам, давать прибежище, давать
and you are
приют.
able to give advices to many, many souls, to give your
Потом что
care.
еще? Ты очень хорошая жена.
You're a very good wife.
Вот. Ты очень хорошая преданная, ты предан
You're a
своему
very good
учителю.
devotee. You're dedicated to your spiritual master,
Богатый духовный опыт.
and you went through a lot of
Ценности в тебе
problems in your life.
неизмеримые.
So you have a lot of
Вот.
values
Ты
in you.
сохраняешь вот
You're
эту
very
свежую,
experienced, and
свежую
still you
юношу,
remain
сознание,
fresh
сознанию Кришны, у тебя всегда есть вопросы, ты всегда
to
готов обсудить,
Krishna consciousness. You always have questions. You have things to
Вот ты как
discuss.
драгоценный
You
камень такой сияющий
just like a jewel,
в обществе преданных.
shining diamond
Ну, дорогие преданные, добавляйте это
in the
к моим словам.
community of
Еще раз
devotees.
с рождением был.
Dear devotees, please add something. Ratnavati means
Видите, маняша.
jewel. Yeah, so this is true.
Амала Говинда, ты говорил, что им
Amala Govinda, or Vasушastra. For me, Ratnavati is the powerful preacher. When I hear her lectures, my ears grow. She's digging it. Her mind, intelligence is so great. So I think this is just the beginning of her. When women will be able to become a Diksha Guru, Ratnavati would be one of the first.
В обрамлении Абхирама Тхакура этот драгоценный камень, он просто сияет нашей ятрой.
Ну да, она на мне тренируется.
Hadiram Thakur makes her shine.
Павла Бихари еще хотел поставить.
She's preaching me, that's how she's training.
Ну, это просто очаровательнейшее.
She's
Не знаю, там что-то такое.
a very charming
Готовит, и это, ну, как сказка.
person, and she's cooking so nice,
Столько эмоций.
just like the movie
Она так
she
говорит,
is.
так делает непосредственно. Просто какое-то
The way she
очарование.
talks, and
Спасибо, что вы есть.
thank you so much.
Это по милости Читань Чандра Чаран прабhu.
This is all mercy of
Учителя Шрилы Прабхупады.
Chaitanya Chandra
Все
Charan
приветы
prabhu
моего мужа, конечно же, и Амала
and all the
Говинды,
devotees and
который
Srila
всё время меня
Prabhupada and my
называет богиня
husband.
притесания.
Молодец, экзамен выдержал.
Меня вчера подготовили.
Веселая. Ну, хорошо, там весело жить в Екатеринбурге, а? Еще кто что скажет?
Харе Кришна, дорогой Гуру Махарадж.
Dear Guru
Для меня
Maharaj,
Раднавати это мой наставник.
for me,
Она
Ratnavati
настолько
Mataji
счастлива
is
в
my
состоянии
instructor,
Кришны,
and
что
she's
просто
so happy
трансформирует
in
себя.
Krishna
И она
consciousness
есть
that
очень
she's a
пример,
fountain
заражает,
head.
и хочется
She's
тоже
fountaining
двигаться
with this
вперед.
happiness.
Вот. И
And when we see her, we we have this desire to move forward. When we had Bhakti Shastras, she wanted to share this Krishna consciousness with us, and we could feel it. She's very kind and responsive. I love her very deeply and appreciate her.
Можно я скажу? Харе Кришна. Просто вот то, что
Hare
сегодня вы
Krishna.
говорили, Гуру Махарадж, когда
What you were saying
проявляется вот
today, Guru
чуть-чуть
Maharaj, when there's a
ну, вот
hint
эта как бы
of this thing
духовная эмоция в
revealed,
взаимоотношениях
this
вы
spiritual
с
emotion,
вами,
just like you
просто я
said with
точно так же вот
Radhanath Swami.
чуть-чуть как бы доброты, какой-то сердечности,
When I feel a little bit
ну,
of that
проявила по отношению вот
heartfelt
к Матаджи Ратнавати, она просто
kindness,
столько любви взамен дала, просто меня
and
затопила. Вот
Mataji
эта любовь
Ratnavati
на
gave me
какую-то
so much of this
просто
kindness and
простую
care,
вещь, простую благодарность, просто
and
она столько
I feel
любви
so
вот этой
much
дала
of
как бы в ответ.
this.
Ну, это просто удивительно, как бы.
It's a
Вот
great
такое
response
свойство.
that
Просто за маленькие
she has
вещи
from
она
me
всех просто,
of kindness
ну, вот эту любовь
and
дает
gratitude. She's
редкую
given a
во
rare
взаимоотношениях.
relation,
Кришна, спасибо.
rare love that you can
большое.
feel in the relationship. Thank you so much,
дорогие
Mataji.
преданные, которые руки подняли, и я просто скажу, потому что, ну, как бы я обязан что-то сказать. Вот, ну, так как я как-то связан каким-то образом с этой возвышенной душой.
Because I'm connected in a certain way with this elevated soul, I need to say that when in Dwarakam, the wives of got together and they wanted to know how Draupadi was serving her 5 husbands. So, the same way, when she's visiting the temple to help, usually husbands, they don't like when there's wives get into there's world structure in it. So when she's coming to do her thing, like in my world, in my place, I am angry with her. But when she's leaving, I understand that I would never be able to clean things like this and arrange everything. So I'm addressing the wives of Grihastas and saying that she has such qualities that many women are lacking. For example, she always has something in her closets, in her storage. There would be not just 1 pack of buckwheat, but like 3 or 4. So you don't really need to run to the store. You always have something in her storage. You don't waste your time. She always has it prepared. Well, I just plan the service a few days ahead. She's asking me, when will you come? And I said, no, I would say, I don't know. Usually when you call for a plumber, you ask him, where will you come? He would say, well, at noon. And she would say, what exactly? What is your noon? And he would be confused. It seems like Ratnavati will be there for us in the spiritual world. Everything is going to be arranged and organized long time before we get there. Ratnavati Mataji is She's very simple and very open. She's just like an open book. You can read her. She has no protection shield in front of her. She's not after her status. That's the way she is. She doesn't hide her doubts or something, and her honesty is so valuable. So it seems like she's not conditioned at all. Just an open soul, dedicated soul. And she's the center of yatra. 100%. Hands down, she's the center. So many young guys, young devotees are around her. So she's just like the sun. And everybody is around and asking for advice. She's very simple. We are very lucky to have her in our yatra. Jayapatak Maharaj knows her personally. Whenever she would get to safari, he would highlight her presence.
Пользуясь полномочиями āśrama охлаждения, я приостановлю этот поток милости. И у нас 4 руки поднятых здесь, в зуме. Осталось 10 минут всего. Можно, Хармараш, мы из чата пропустим вопрос, дадим кому-то из зума. Вот Юва пробовал у нас первый.
Харе Кришна, Chaitanya Chandra Charan prabhu, поклоны. А вот вопрос, он был задан вот из чата, вот про Санкиртану и Бхагаватам.
There was a question about Sankirtana and Bhagavatam.
Потому что в лекции прозвучал, ну, как бы приоритет за Бхагаватам.
Was it aired because you said it's our priority to do the Bhagavatam in the lecture? But also I had this question about Lila.
Полили вопрос, вот они же, ну как, они взрослые, вот жены браманов, а Кришна, он...
They're grown up, those wives of Brahmanas, and Krishna is the boy. So is it parental ras that they had, or was it a mixture? Vasudeva Prabhu maybe would help me to refresh my memory, but they see him as a personality of Godhead. It's not the same parental ras as Yashoda. They are not like Yashoda is tidying him, or they would gopis would meet him next to Govardhan and ask to dance. No, they were just wives of brahmanas, ritualistic brahmanas. But since they were wives of brahmanas, they heard about Brahman and absolute truth and yagyas. Their understanding of Krishna was connected with his position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The thing I remember is that there is a description of meeting. They came to the forest to meet Krishna, and he met them as a young boy, beautiful, handsome boy. He was meeting them with a smile, and Acharya was saying he had his lotus flower in his hands, and the way he was flipping it in his hands, it was just like he was turning their hearts. And so they could, because he got into the heart of their hearts, they could embrace him in their hearts. They could embrace Krishna on distance. And when Krishna asked them to leave, they left. There is a hint of Madhurya Rasa. The wives of Brahmanas, they felt this Madhurya Rasa. But they were also worshipping the dust from the lotus feet of gopis. They were happy that gopis could be with Krishna. So they were praising Madhurya Rasa. Okay, my thoughts are, because rasas can be blended together, but there's Madhurya and Dasya Rasa, a mixture of it. And it could be a service. So it's like a Dasya Rasa. There's Sakya Rasa blended with Dasya Rasa, and there's Vatsalya Rasa that is mixed up with some Sankhya. Sakya. And so there might be some Madhurya Rasa, but it's not Parakya. Formally, they are not in this relationship. Mostly Dasya Rasa is here shown up. Can Chaitanya Seva say something? He's an expertise in these details. I'm sorry, no, I can't say anything about it.
А вот там вот такой момент, что они, ну, раз они из Мадхуры, они в настроении больше вот двараки находятся.
Isn't it more the Dwaraka mood? No. Dwaraka mood is Swakiya Rasa. This is legal relationship. And Vrindavan is Parakya Rasa. But these wives of Brahmanas, they're not wives of Krishna. Neither they are in Parakya Rasa with Krishna. They've been being attracted by the service.
Гуру Махарадж, вопрос из онлайна. Надеюсь, что слышно будет. Харе Кришна, Гуру Махарадж. Вопрос про жен будущих браманов. Ситуация такая. Жена уже готова к инициации.
I have a question about a wife of future Brahman. And the wife is ready. And she's more advanced than her husband, but his experience, his past life probably was hard and his karma is worse. He was hunting before and everything, and he's not ready. He's not ready yet. It's hard for him to chant. Should she go ahead? Well, if you can get a family board and discuss this topic, and if a husband doesn't mind for her to move forward, then it's okay. If he's mind, then you need to wait. This is your family question. You need to decide.
Харе Кришна, уважаемые преданные, Харе Кришна, его светлость Chaitanya Chandra Charan prabhu. У меня такой личный вопрос, он из двух частей. Может ли быть, ну вот миссией жизни проповедь про Господа через красоту?
Can I preach Krishna about God through beauty? Well, I do it. I even published the book, The Evolution of Beauty. Of course, Krishna is all attractive. And this term is divine. Beauty, it is divine. Of course, we need to know the philosophy to be able to prove it. If it's beautiful and at the same time it's proven by the scriptures, then it's perfect. My second question is also regarding mission.
Например, вот если вот так сформулировать, миссия по жизни воспитывать из детей поэтов, и поэты это которые не могут
bringing up the kids, educating them, growing them poets, so they're like poets in the soul. What is the question exactly? A mission of growing, of bringing the children in a poetry mood, so he would just talk about everything in this mood. Is it okay to do it this way? Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very good. Let's ask the devotees, do they like it? Vasashestra Prabhu is raised both of his arms up. When are you gonna talk about beauty? Are you going to describe impersonal aspect, or are you gonna be talking about the personality of Godhead when you deal with children? Krishna is all attractive, and it's not direct preaching, of course. We don't say it. We say that God is the beauty. Are you going to say that Krishna is the source of that beauty? That it is not impersonal? Or are you gonna just talk about this? This is beautiful. Everything is beautiful. Yes, of course. The source is the personality. Dear devotees, we have to stop here because it's time. So please, let's finish this. So we stopped here on this beautiful spot. Ratnavati, once again, I'm wishing you all the best and best of luck. Please accept my obeisances, dear devotees, and thank you so much.